Hello, everybody, and today, for the honor of Christmas, I'm reviewing A Christmas Story. And by the way, Merry Christmas to all. So, if you don't know the Christmas Story, it's a story about a grouchy man named Scrooge who gets a chance to be a better man by when he encounters free spirits, and that's the story of A Christmas Carol. But this time, this movie came out in 2009. I thought it came out like early 2010s, but no, 2009. And it stars Jim Carrey. So I was honestly surprised Jim Carrey's in this movie. Yeah, he's a really comedian kind of actor, and him to play Scrooge and the ghost in this movie, that's honestly surprising. And this animation style it was kind of a thing back in the day when we had movies like Polar Express, this movie, and that Mars Needs Moms movie. Yeah. So, I think they were trying to make more realistic looking animation back in the day for Disney. And, I don't know, I don't know if I could really vibe with this kind of animation, but I kind of got used to it as I watched this movie. But I could say this is probably one of my favorite adaptations of A Christmas Carol. I do like Muppets Christmas Carol, but I don't know. Something about this one feels like more of a mature, scarier take at A Christmas Carol. Like, there's some horror aspects to this movie. Like, I'll get to that in a bit. But basically, Ebenezer Scrooge, he's a grouch on Christmas. He works at some office, and he's overworking his workers, Bob Cratchit, and the day of Christmas, when he gets home, he's then encountered by his old comrade, Jacob Marley. We did see, I think, was the dead body of Jake Marley, and he had, coins on him. Oh, it was definitely a different kind of scene than what we usually see in A Christmas Carol. But before Scrooge enters his home and encounters him, Bob Cratchit does go home, and he's super excited. I think he's played by Gary Oldman. Yeah, Jim Gordon himself from the Dark Knight movies. So anyway, Scrooge comes home, and he first doesn't suspect a thing, but that's where we get this very creepy scene of Jacob Marley. This Jacob Marley looks so creepy. He's like a blue Jedi ghost, and his jaw literally falls off, and he has to talk when he's trying to tell Scrooge that he'll be haunted by 3 spirits, and it's quite something. I don't know, whoever animated this, you definitely did a good job in making it look creepy. And the rest of the movie is Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas Past, and honestly, it looked kind of creepy when I saw it. When I saw this originally, it looks like a giant candle who for some reason has this trumpet looking thing, this. Oh man, I got it all wrong. But the ghost takes him to basically Scrooge's childhood. Usually in the Christmas Carol, we see Scrooge when he was younger, at that Fezziwig party, and for this, we actually see what his life was like in school a little. He was actually nice to others and formed relationships. That's where we get to the Fezziwig party, where he was working there or something. And we get this awesome dance scene, and he dances with his lost love. And it's quite nice. You actually see Scrooge happy, which is what we usually see in Christmas Carol. But Scrooge's greed over him being rich, what kind of takes over his head, which makes him lose his lost love. And that's where we get this odd scene where Scrooge sees the ghosts of Christmas Past change faces of him and various other people, and then Scrooge is freaked out, and then he grabs that thing the ghost is holding in this picture, and he just shoves it down on him, and he explodes like a rocket, and then Scrooge is, in this poster, he's, flying across towards the moon. He literally, jumps across of it, and then he falls to his doom, and it looks like this could be it, but no, it's all part of the dream, where he is then encountered by the Ghost of Christmas Present. Okay, so I really love the Ghost of Christmas Present. He's actually voiced by Jim Carrey in this as well. Like, I don't know, he seems like Santa, but with not a white beard, yeah, you get the point. He's got like a giant robe, like he looks like Santa. Is he supposed to look like Santa in most adaptations? I don't know. Please, people tell me in the comments. But like his laugh is like so iconic. I don't know why. You can't help but just enjoy it. And Scrooge is like kind of a little freaked out a little, but then he's taken to the present, where we do meet Bob Cratchit again with his family, and we see that like the typical story, Bob Cratchit's not much going for him because Scrooge doesn't really pay him good, even though he works him a lot. And he lives in a small home with his wife and few kids, and that's where we meet Tiny Tim. I thought he'd be a lot younger. I mean, he's younger, but like, I don't know, most Tiny Tims are like he's really little. But they have their Christmas feast, even though they don't have much. Yeah, and we do get this scene where I forgot to mention Cousin Fred. Cousin Fred is like very outgoing, and he tries to form a relationship with his uncle Scrooge, literally. But then he's kind of giving up on Scrooge, and that's where the flashback ends, where Scrooge starts to see that his time is up with Christmas Present, where you get this insane scene where Scrooge, like, if you don't know the Christmas Carol, the Ghost of Christmas Present usually disappears, but because this is more of a PG movie, they show this scene where like we see like children who are hiding under the present's robes, and they're like in this like clock tower room, and literally they try to attack Scrooge. And then literally Christmas Present is just dying of laughter. He turns into a skeleton. It's insane. And he like basically gets fat or snapped away as his body just turns into a skeleton of laughter. And those two kids, they turn to like lunatics or something, and then they attack Scrooge. Yeah, that is probably one of the creepiest scenes in A Christmas Carol. Sorry, not showing a photo, but I'm just kind of just going through photos I found of the ghost. But, yeah, that scene was a lot. But anyway, we do get the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, or Future, whatever you want to call it. But, that ghost is like a straight up shadow, and he has sort of like a skeleton like hand. And he doesn't say anything, he just points. Does he say something? I'm not sure. But, like, Scrooge turns, like, tiny in this flashback. Like, he's running around and he's hearing, like, people not really think much of the death of Scrooge, like, because he's just so greedy and rude. But that's where Scrooge finds out in this possible future that Tiny Tim would possibly die. I always wondered, how did Tiny Tim die? But I think I once had to read Christmas Carol in 7th grade, and I was asked how he died, and the teacher told me like he died of malnutrition, which is basically low fundings on food. But basically, Scrooge is just like feeling so guilty of what could come. And I do like that scene where Bob Cratchit walks up to Scrooge and he doesn't know he's there, even though it's just like it's all a vision. It almost looks like he could just stare at him. Like they're standing face to face for a second. But then, like, yeah, it's revealed that Tiny Tim unfortunately died, like I said. And Scrooge is like, is this yet to come? But then he appears in like this winter-like state where he's about to fall into his grave, and Scrooge is like begging for forgiveness. Per usual for the Christmas Carol. Then he literally falls into his grave once he finds out it's his grave. He's like really freaking out. Then Scrooge falls in, and that's where he finally wakes up, and he decided to finally change his ways, that he's very outgoing, and he decides to give all the money to the business people, and he dances with that one lady, and she's just too freaked out because she hates Scrooge. But then Scrooge is just walking around, and then he gets to the Bob Cratchits, and then he first acts all mean, but then, he's just pretending, and he's just like, Merry Christmas, Bob. And he, does that laugh thing. It's funny. And then I think the movie ends for, like any other Christmas Carol. Scrooge is a changed man. He's not greedy anymore. He decides to make a change for himself. And he carries Tiny Tim. And that's the Christmas Carol. And it ends with Bob Cratchit saying the rest of the story. I thought that scene was a little odd, but anyway, that's Christmas Carol. This movie is definitely, I feel, is like the most different from most Christmas carols. Like, it was a Christmas Carol you're not expecting to see what happens. You think it has the typical Christmas or Carol things that happen, but no, they did some things different, which was made this movie refreshing for me. Yeah, the animation is not the best for what animation we have now, but I think it was okay for its time. But I'd probably give this movie an 8 out of 10. So I hope you all have a good Christmas. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.